Hi guys, Angela here to talk about the work that your character does and why this one detail can deliver a payload of information that speeds up the get to know the character phase with readers, helps you find new sources of conflict, and much more. In the real world, a job can indicate things about someone, like their interests or passions, a skill they have, or how that job may be suited to that person's personality traits, preferences, education, or values. Because of this, almost always one of the first questions we ask when we meet someone new is, "So, what type of work do you do? Or what keeps you busy these days?" Once we find out the answer, we start lightly making assumptions about that person. For example, an accountant would be intelligent, good with numbers, attention detailed, organized, and hopefully ethical. A social media manager is probably someone who's personable, a good communicator, likes technology, and enjoys connecting people to the things that they need or will enjoy. And just as people like to connect the dots, so do readers. We can use a job to show personal information about the character. Even if the character is doing a job that they hate, it still conveys valuable information, their priorities. This job is a means to an end, and the character is doing what they must to pay the bills, provide for others, or get what they need. Now, there are millions of jobs out there, and while we couldn't cover them all, we've chosen a range of careers, some iconic, others unusual, that give you a good starting point for brainstorming. Let's look at a firefighter to get a feel for what you might need to know about this particular job so you can write it into the story. You can see we start with information about this career, and that gives the writer a good feel for the type of things that a firefighter might do day to day, their responsibilities, the physicality of the job, the need for quick decisions and fearlessness, and in this case, the dangerous nature of this type of work. This helps when we write a scene where the character's at work, because we can come up with realistic scenarios that they might actually encounter. It's also good to think about what path a character took to get this particular type of career, the education that they needed, the training that they attained, and anything else that might be necessary, because this gives us further clues about any mental, physical, and emotional conditioning a character might have had, and how this will apply to other things that they do in their daily life. Whether it's a job that your character loves to do or one that they have to do, certain skills, talents, and abilities are going to make them good at it. These options are from the talent and skills thesaurus, so you can make sure that your character has some of the abilities that they'll need to succeed. And you don't accidentally give your character a quality that would make them bad at this job. For example, if your character had a physical condition that impacted their stamina, like severe asthma or excessive weight, this career would never work for them. When we're considering a job for a character, we want to think about their personality traits and what might be a good match to do this job well. A character doesn't need to have all of them, but they should have some. Perhaps my firefighter is calm, disciplined, and observant because he needs to be, but he's not very adventurous, preferring to spend his downtime on quieter hobbies. And sometimes negative traits can also help a person be good at their job. For example, if the character is a bit compulsive about checking his gear so it's always in a state of readiness, well, that's not a bad thing. But in other parts of his life, well, this will cause problems. Another possibility to consider is whether a character may have chosen this vocation because of a defining experience, like an emotional wound. Perhaps my character lost his family in a blaze when he was 10, and now as an adult, he's determined to save people because he couldn't do so as a child. Or maybe he chose this job because he failed to convince a friend not to drive when he'd been drinking, and that friend ended up losing his life in a car accident. Our character carries this guilt forward with him, and it led him to this type of career where he'll save others from fires, car accidents, and other disasters. Your character's job can also be a goldmine of friction, tension, and conflict, which your story will need a lot of. So think about challenging situations your character might be put in that's going to cause them to struggle, hold them back from their goals, cause problems with other people, and potentially lead to the realization that they need to change or grow in some way if they're to succeed. It can be helpful to think about the people your character interacts with on the job, as this will help you see who your character is going to come in contact with, and where they might naturally meet people in the course of the work that they do. For example, maybe your firefighter falls for a reporter covering the scene of a fire, or he hides evidence from the fire inspector because he's discovered that his own child started the fire. An occupation can also impact a character's basic human needs, which are psychological drivers we all have, and they can help us feel complete and fulfilled in life. It's the same thing for our characters. If something disrupts their needs, it becomes a problem that they will need to fix. Reading through this section is a great way to brainstorm things that can go wrong for your character on the job, causing turmoil and struggle, like being forced to choose who to save in a fire, struggling with post-traumatic stress, or the dangerous, unpredictable nature of fires and trying to push back a surge of fear after a close call the day before. Some of your scenes will be in settings common to where your character works, and you can follow these links to find description on those places. And because we want you to write fresh, we urge you to think about certain stereotypes associated with a career and how to twist those so that you're writing someone fresh. Finally, you can also think about other reasons your character chose this career. Maybe it's a stepping stone to a particular goal that they have, like becoming fire chief the way their dad was, and so you can draw this into your story's plot. Maybe it reveals something about them that no one knows, like they have pyro tendencies and this job does two things for them: keeps them around fires and shows them how to set them and not get caught. As you can see, there's so many ways the work a person does can serve your story, so think carefully about what you want your character's job to reinforce to readers. And for more ideas on how occupations can make the story stronger, visit this tutorial. Happy writing!